Hello, ladies. Welcome to our November team meeting. If you're watching the recording of this, welcome. We're going to be hearing from Charla tonight, which is super exciting. She's going to be talking about all of the different reading levels that we have, or not the reading levels that we have, but the reading levels that happen across Canada in the school districts. So if your children are in different schools, what reading programs they're doing, and how our Usborne books go along with those different reading programs. Charla is a teacher, I think, right? I think, yeah, you're a teacher. I had a moment of like, oh my goodness, what if she's not a teacher? But I'm almost positive that she is. You're gonna have to tell us a little bit about what you teach and what grades and ages that you teach. And anyhow, I'm just gonna hand it over to her. I'll make sure I'll mute everybody, and at the end, Charla, if you have time, you want to open the floor to questions, then you guys can unmute yourself and ask her questions. So take it away.
Okay, thank you so much. I just want to start by thanking Talina for asking me to do this. It's a real honor to be able to share some of my teaching world and mix it with my Usborne world. So I'm really, really excited to be here tonight talking to you about the reading levels and how they tie in with our awesome books. So I am a teacher. I teach grade 1 and 2 French immersion, and the reading levels that I use to benchmark and assess my kids are the exact same as the ones I'm going to show you in English here tonight. So I just finished up doing 47 reading levels for report cards. So this is something that I do all the time, and I really am excited to share with you. So I'm going to get started by talking to you about what our libraries actually are. I've got them here for us. So when you're showing these to customers, this is our very first reading library, and there's 50 books in it. You see them all on the back here. So the first 15 books are essentially to be read with a parent. So they're very supported, guided through this section, and they're not meant to go through this section too quickly. So they're going to be reading in this section until they're pretty independent. And then at the end, few books sort of release that responsibility and they start reading on their own. And then the rest of the box set is independent reading. But the rest of the box set sort of goes back to about level 3, level 4 easier text so that they can do that independently. My favorite part about this box set is the questions at the end, because any parent can pick up one of these books and make sure that their child is reading the sight words and comprehending through the little puzzles and everything at the end. And I've heard a lot of really awesome comments about the puzzles and comprehension questions. So that's our first box set. And then as the child develops, they can start into my reading library. I'm going to lose all the books here. That wouldn't be good. So just a little bit more challenging here, progressing along. And then the neat part is when you get into the red section, it's more chapter-like books. And when kids get to that level of reading, the first thing that they want to do is read chapter books, and it's exciting for them. So that provides a really neat opportunity for them to be able to read a shorter chapter book and feel like they're sitting down with a book like their parents read every night. So I really like that feature of the second box set. The second box set, the one that I have here, it's fairy tale based. So a lot of familiar stories that the kids know and love, and really, really good reads in here. So I really recommend both of these box sets to share with your customers. And I know that a lot of you are wondering, well, we have these reading levels that the schools use, and then we have these box sets, and how do they sort of compare with each other, and how can I explain that to a customer? And when I first started teaching, that was, all of the reading levels really confused me. It took me a long time to sort of learn how to assess a child and what to do and what it all meant. So I'm really, really excited to be able to clear all of that up, hopefully for you, and make it easier for you to talk to customers about all of these reading levels. So I was mentioning in one of the posts that I would be sharing a little surprise with you, and I'm going to share that right now with you. So I've done a little comparison chart, and I think this is going to be backwards for you to see. But Talina is so kindly going to post this for us along with the recorded video tonight. So when you take a look at it later, I've posted the 3 main assessment, like reading assessments that I've heard of here in Ontario. So it's the Fontes and Pinnell, which a lot of you are commenting on, like you're saying, my customer says their child is a level D, I don't know what that means. That's the Fontes and Pinnell system. So that's right here. PM benchmarks is what I use. It's just another reading assessment. And then the DRA, which I'm not 100% familiar with, but some schools use it, so I included it. And then beside, I tried my very best to put our box set title by title beside the levels, so that if someone comes to you and says, my child's reading at a level A, what books could I purchase from you to best support them at home? So you've got a list of Pirate Pat, Double Trouble, sort of pre-reading books, and then it just sort of continues on from there. So everything's listed. It's about 3 pages long. Yeah, so you can use that as a tool with your customers, and if they don't know the reading level, and 50% of the people that come to you aren't going to know their child's reading level, I would spend the time, if you have access to the books, I would spend the time to take a picture of one of the pages, send it to them and say, is this too easy or too hard for your child? And try to find that book that's just right for the child that way. Not all of the books on the website have a See Inside option, so that's something to consider as well. It takes a little bit more time, but I think the customer will really appreciate you going the extra mile and trying to help them out that way. I'm also going to include in that little gift all of my notes here from tonight. So you can just have that as a little bit of a cheat sheet. You can use those notes and read over them at your leisure if you'd like to. I'm just going to go ahead and show you the level books that we use at school, and then we'll do a quick comparison with our books. So this, oh, it's really heavy. This is the Fontes and Pinnell assessment kit. So schools will buy hundreds and hundreds of books, Fontes and Pinnell books, and then you purchase an assessment kit so that a teacher can easily sit down, pull out a level, and when you're reading with a child, you're just making sure that they aren't making, they can make a certain amount of mistakes in a book. And if they make more mistakes than they should, then they just aren't confident at that level yet. So that's how we get the reading levels. So that's the Fontes and Pinnell system. And this is the PM benchmark system that I use. And so you can see here that every book has the words of the book, you can see on a sheet of paper, and you just basically tick off the words that the child can read and sort of circle the ones that they can't read, and it helps guide your instruction so you know what to focus on with them for your teaching. But for our purposes, I'll just show you, this is a beginning book for PM benchmark. So it's Look at Me, and the books are very, very repetitive, so that the children are reading sight words constantly and practicing fluidity. So look at me, I am reading. Look at me, I am painting. Look at me, I am singing. Look at me, I am eating. So that's the very first, that's level 1. And then that would be a level A in Fontes and Pinnell, best friends. We like to run. We like to dance. We like to climb. So very repetitive, building that stamina, that confidence in reading. And then just sort of moves up in difficulty. So this is a level 9, which would be about an F, I think, in Fontes and Pinnell. This is a PM book, PM benchmark. So red truck came down the hill very fast. He went down into the ditch. help, help, shouted Red Truck, I'm down in this ditch. So really repetitive, but just getting a little bit more difficult as they progress. And then this is a level 24, so you're almost getting into the chapter book kind of feel, a lot of text on a page, not as many pictures. So I think that a level 24 PM would be like an M and something in Fontes and Pinnell, but it's getting more into this section for sure, the red section of our second reading kit. That's where they'd be reading that. So comparing our box set to the system that the schools use, I would say that the language and the vocabulary in our box sets, it's a little bit more challenging than what they're using at school, but that's perfectly fine because I think that as they become more independent readers, as children become more independent readers, that parent support sort of dwindles a little bit. Like it's more like, oh, go to your room and read and come see me if you need help. But if there's words that they might need help looking up or understanding the meaning for, then that keeps that connection. And it also encourages them to go and use a dictionary too. So that's a really neat feature as well. If you're selling or talking to a teacher about the box sets when they're looking through, that could very well be a comment that they make, that the vocabulary that they're seeing in our box sets is a little bit trickier, and that's totally fine. It's good practice for the kids. And the titles that we have in these box sets are so intriguing for youngsters, and it makes them really want to pick up a book and read. These books tend to be a little snoozy. I love them. They're great. They're great for teaching, but they're very repetitive and, you know, see spot run, see spot jump. It just gets a little boring for kids. So Usborne is giving kids those sight words in a really fun way, like pirates and dragons and Aladdin, and it's really, really, really neat experience for the kids. The last thing I wanted to talk about, well, got two more things to talk about. Someone was asking me how our other box sets, how our other readers measure up to the leveling system, and specifically the phonics box set, the phonics books. The phonics books are great for rhyming. My daughter is 3 and we read them every night. She loves them. And she loves the pictures, she loves all of it. And she can even start picking out some of the rhyming words. But I would say for independence with reading those books, we're looking at a level 5 PM benchmark, a level 6. So I'll just show you where that is on our chart. So when you're looking at this chart, when it's posted, probably about a D, and that's a level 5 or 6. To start reading those books independently, definitely at least a 5 or 6. And then the Farmyard Tales series, which are also dual readers, so parent and child, I would say about the same level, so maybe a little sooner, depending on the child. It could be a C, a 3 or 4, or a D, 5 or 6. And they very well, depending on the child, they very well may need a little support reading those books, but they're lots of fun. And if you haven't checked out Farmyard Tales or the phonics books, I would highly recommend doing that. They're great books, and I've got a few colleagues who use them in their classrooms. They love them. The last thing that I wanted to mention, and one thing I've heard, I've sold 6 box sets since I started in March, and it's one thing when I do parties, I really talk up the box sets and bring the reading sort of independence and building reading stamina into it. And I've sold 6 so far, and I've had great reviews from everyone who's bought one. A couple people have commented that the box set is really expensive and it's a lot of money to invest into the books. And my answer always is, those kits that I showed you have 30 to 60 books in them, and you're looking at $600 to buy just a kit. That's just a teaching kit. That's not buying the books to use in the classroom, that's just the teaching kit. So when you're looking at getting 50 books that are geared towards building reading stamina and helping your child to develop as a reader, $120, that's not a lot of money. People sort of forget that books are expensive, and really the original price of our box sets is about 300, I think, around that, 300. So getting them for 120 is a steal of a deal. It's great. So all of this is going to be posted on with the presentation tonight. You can access all my notes and the comparison charts. I will warn that where I've slotted all of our books, it's a rough guess. I looked at the wording, I looked at the amount of text on each page, and I made my best guess. So it's not an exact, but it's somewhere to start with the customer and say, okay, so your child's reading at a C. Oh, here's some books that we can look at, and just a jumping off point for you. And really figuring out what box set is more appropriate for the child. If the child's a really strong reader, you probably wouldn't want to suggest the My First Reading Library to them. They'd probably be at the tail end of that one, starting into our First Reading Library. Does anyone have any questions? We can definitely talk about what your, maybe things that have come up with customers and things that you're wondering. I know that was probably a lot of information to take in, so.
I think I have most people muted, so if you do have a question, if you can't figure out how to unmute yourself, I can unmute yourself. I can unmute you.
No.
No questions. You guys are a quiet crowd tonight. Okay, well, thank you, Charla, very much for sharing all that stuff. Wow, I totally do not know all of these like reading levels and stuff. So this is great for us to be able to, for those of us who are not teachers or not confident in all the different reading levels. I'm really excited about your chart and all the information that you shared. Thank you for taking the time to do that for us. That was very generous of you. I don't know, we have some time left. I'm not sure how much time is left on here. If anyone has questions for Charla or just questions in general, there are a few supervisors on here. So if you guys have questions in general, feel free to ask them. If not, then we can close out early or just chat. I guess I'll keep recording this and I'll cut it when I upload it to YouTube if it just gets chatty.
Good.
Does anybody have any questions? No?
I have a question about convention. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
So this month I earned some convention dollars.
Yes.
What are those used for? Like, can those go towards my ticket for convention, or is there stuff at convention?
It's just like when you get to convention on the first day that they have sessions. So on Friday, like the first day of like the regular sessions, they will hand out the convention cash, which last year it was like prepaid Visa cards, and it's basically just like you can use it for whatever you want. You can use it because like when you're there, your meals, the meals that you haven't earned or whatnot, you'll be buying, so you can use it to buy yourself coffee or to buy yourself meals or whatever you want. Go shopping.
Yeah,
it's just cash.
Okay, I see. Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, it's a good way to like pay attention to the president's challenges, because leading up to convention they always have the convention cash, and you can like kind of decide if you want to try to earn some of that. That's a good way to make your convention a little bit cheaper, so you don't have to buy like one meal, you don't have to buy it yourself, you can just use your convention cash for.
Right.
Anybody else have a question? My goodness, my hair is like
I was just gonna say thank you. Thank you, Charla, for sharing all of that, because I've been doing this for almost 2 years and I didn't know a lot of that.
I know. I'm like thinking, oh my goodness, how come I didn't learn all this? Like I know there's another consultant who's in Calgary who's been doing this for like 20 years now, and she has like put out some resources, but they just for some reason don't make sense in my brain. So it's really good to have someone like verbally talk about it. It kind of makes a bit more sense, and I think the way your forms are structured, it actually is really easy to see. That's all like laid out in front of you with the titles, so that's going to be really great.
Oh, good. I like it. And it's just one of those things that it took me 2 years after I started teaching to get comfortable with the whole system. So it's just easier to talk about it and show the books, and then everyone has a bit of an understanding of where that chart, like how to make sense of it.
It's also really awesome that you've sold so many. I think I've only sold like 2 in my whole
I push them. They're one of the number one things I try to sort of, and even just the individual books. Like if you're not ready for the box set, I always highlight books from the different sections of the reading library, and people are usually pretty on board with that, just to buy a few and try it out.
That's one thing. I'm just gonna address somebody as I don't know how to pronounce her name, so I'm feeling a little Aislinn. Okay. I was kind of getting like nervous pronouncing it wrong. She asked if you can get a list of the titles that are in the box sets. There is a spot on the website that has all the titles listed. I'll try to link that in our group as well.
Okay, thank you.
A photo of all the titles that are in the box sets. But what Charla was just saying about selling the book, Gloria was just saying about how you can't believe she sold that many books. And it's interesting to see, like, I think for ourselves, we're always like, oh, I can't sell that because it's way too expensive. Like, you're letting your own, like, preconceived thoughts about selling something affect what you would sell. Because, like, we really don't know what is a lot of money for one of our customers. Like, they might think that's nothing.
Right.
You know, like they might be thinking, oh, that's such a great investment into my child's education. I just saved like, $200 by not buying them individually. So I think it's important like to kind of go at it with a mindset of like, let's not let my idea of what cost is affect, helping somebody else. And if they say it's too expensive for them, then that's fine. You don't have to push it on them. You can give them some other options, but it's good to present. I think it's like a good lesson for all of us to present it in the way that Charla has talked about it, and let our customers decide. They're ultimately the ones who are going to decide if they're going to buy it or not. As long as you're not like pushing it on them, which I'm sure you're not. But like, you know what I mean? We don't have to not offer it. We can offer it with confidence because it's a great deal, and like you said, it's a really great value compared to some of the other like teaching sets that are out there, and valuable tool for the children who are learning to read.
I think it works out to like $2.40 a book.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, it works out to something like that. Whereas if you buy them individually, they're $7.95 each. Now they're hardcover, soft cover, but still.
Yeah, and a few people that have been sort of hemming and hawing about the box sets, they just sort of ask for a few other options, like, is there something else I can do because I feel like the box set's too expensive? And that's when I sort of get the child's level, and then I suggest a few books. Why don't you try these books and see how you like them? And they're usually up for that. Like, they'll buy a book or so and then just give it a try. And then in one case, it sparked her to come back to me and say, he really, really liked it. Can I buy the box set now? Like, yep, that's fine. You can go ahead and do that. And it was sort of neat to see like how much he loved that one book and he wanted to have more of them. So
yeah, like once you like if you sell individual readers without first telling them that there's a box set where you could buy them all for like a really great price, then they might never come back and ask for that. But if you if you tell them about the box set first, and then they buy a few of those books, after they buy a handful of them, they're going to think, man, this is going to be expensive if I keep buying books every time they like move to a different reading level. Then they'll think back to that box set and say, okay, maybe now it's time to invest in that because it's going to save me a lot of money in the long run.
Exactly. And then if Aislinn was wondering about the titles, all of the titles for the box sets.
Yeah, I just found that link.
Oh,
Oh,
perfect.
good.
Yeah, it's under extras, like when you scroll down, and then it's a picture, so it's good.
It has a picture with beside the book.
Yeah.
And then also here, everything, so all 100 books are listed here.
Okay.
Yeah, so you've got both then.
Thank you.
Good, no problem.
So one thing I did was I had bought the library set and I had a lot of local moms questioning it. And I guess just depending on your comfort level, but I lent them a couple of books to borrow for a couple of nights from my set. And then, because some of them would see pictures, I would do a little video or something. It's just not the same. But to have the chance to actually use the book with their child. And then, yeah, they said definitely, and they ordered one right away. So
that's great. That's a really good idea.
Comfortable lending out the books, and that's an option too.
Definitely. Yeah, that's really, really nice way to sort of let them have practice with it and a chance to read the book. That's really nice of you, Jen.
Yeah, thank you.
So I don't know if anyone else has any questions for Charla or unrelated, or if anyone just wants to say anything, speak now. We can all just sit here. Does anyone have any interesting stories to tell about their day? I feel like today was this is like a hard-hitting Monday for me.
Yeah, I could tell that it was daylight savings yesterday at school today for sure.
Oh yeah. My 3-year-old who doesn't normally nap had a long nap today, and so bedtime was a little crazy. But it was a great afternoon of nap. But
We went to the doctors today, and Harlan was diagnosed with roseola, which is, and I have mastitis.
Oh no.
So, and then Dave's sick. So this weekend has been rough.
Yeah. Oh man. Not fun at all. We have 10 minutes left, so we can should we just like shut it down and say goodbye, or does anybody else have anything they want? I feel like this is incredibly, I'm like constantly asking if anyone has anything to say. Sorry, guys.
Charla, are you going to convention?
Am I going to convention?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Is anybody else here going to convention?
Lindsay, you're having a
No,
baby,
Jen is
right?
now, and Jackie, because she's sharing a room with me.
Jackie and
I'm hoping to.
oh yeah, Jen.
I have to figure out how to get there, but
You are in Manitoba, northern Manitoba, right?
yeah. And I mean, the trickiest thing is just figuring out how to get time off school.
Yeah, I know a lot of the teachers have a hard time.
Yeah.
Often the teachers are the ones who they don't come to convention so they can go to the trip if they've earned the trip, because they can only take one or the other.
Yeah.
A few of my friends last year were like that. Although my friend Evie, she's also a teacher. You guys might not know. She's done some of the trainings on the training website. She's a music teacher in Quebec, in Montreal, and she came to convention last year and was able to go on the trip last year, but a lot of the teachers weren't able to make it to convention last year because they wanted to go to Hawaii. I don't blame them. But I don't know if there'll be some of those teachers. A lot of the teachers are in Calgary, so they might be able to go just because it's local this year. But I'm not sure. Yeah, it's kind of a tricky time to sneak away.
Do you think it'll be in Toronto next year?
Yeah, next year it's Toronto.
All right, yeah, I'll definitely go to that one for sure. It's nice.
It rotates every year. So this year is Calgary, next year will be Toronto, and then back to Vancouver, and then they continue the cycle. And as far as I know, that's kind of what they'll keep it at for now. As we grow, maybe they'll add an East Coast place, but right now, the majority of the consultants are actually on the West Coast. So the West Coast conventions are always higher attendance, especially Calgary. There are a lot of consultants in that area. Lindsay, you're at West too, right? Yes. I can't read.
I'm trying to unmute myself,
Okay.
sorry. Yeah, I'm in Lethbridge, so I'm just a couple hours south of Calgary.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you're when are you due again?
December 14th.
December 14th. Okay, yeah. You'll have a very new baby.
Yeah, it'll be kind of a crazy time of
Yeah.
year.
And do you have 3 other children or 4?
I have 3
You have
right
3.
now, so this will be number 4, yeah.
Cool. Charla, do you have children?
I do. I've got a little girl, Maisie.
Maisie. Okay.
Yeah, she's 3.
She's 3.
Yeah.
Fun. I thought you did, but I wasn't 100% sure. There are a few ladies on our team who don't have kids, and I think one of them is also a teacher. I feel like books and teachers go really well together too. So that's good.
Yeah.
Megan and Joel. There's Megan. We're kind of really dying down here, Megan. We're kind of deciding if we're gonna keep going. We have 6 more minutes left, and we're kind of just chattering away. Well, I don't know if chattering away. We're kind of like filling the silence slowly.
I just finished a party, so I'm like, I might as well hop on quick and see if there's anything still going on.
Yeah, no, I did record it though, so I'm gonna be posting. I'll be posting.
Okay, good.
Stuff. How did your party go?
Good. I just did a party and I have to close another party.
Oh.
Like a 60 book party.
Wow.
I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I'm so tired.
An assistant.
So what do you guys all talk about? We talked about leveled readers or something?
Yeah, Charlotte talked a little bit about the different systems. I don't know what you call them. Are they called systems?
The levels?
The levels, but there's a font and whatever. I don't know.
Oh yeah, the Fontis and Penella or whatever.
Yeah, and then the PM, was it PM?
PM, yeah.
Yeah. I have to read the Fontis. I couldn't remember exactly how it was pronounced. So she shared a little bit about that and
Cool.
how our reading box sets correspond to those different levels. So
Oh, good.
has a print a handout for all of us. So I'm gonna post that with the recording. And you guys, anyone on the team obviously who wasn't able to make it to the meeting will be able to check that out. I'll probably get that up sometime in the next, I'm gonna say by next week, just to give myself a few days in case I don't get to it right away. Sometimes life is semi-chaotic, so
Lightly.
I'm not always on time with my things I'd like to get done.
Charla, are you a teacher?
I am.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. I've been trying to understand them for a long time now.
Oh, it's mind-boggling. There's a lot to know, but I just sort of did a little cheat sheet, like a handout, so that it'll be nice and easy to
Cool.
see all of the comparisons where our books fit into the levels.
Cool. Great.
Jackie, are you a teacher as well? No? Okay. She's like, no way.
Jen, you're a teacher, right, Jen?
Muted.
Oh.
Yeah, Jen's a teacher, right?
Yes, I am. Grade 3 English.
Ah.
So when you said you were just doing your assessments for report cards, I totally understand.
Report cards already?
Yeah.
Yeah, to get them written and handed in so they can be proofread and
Oh, goodness.
yeah.
We do them 3 times a year.
Yeah.
Wow.
We have to do them every month. for our low
Oh,
kids.
do you?
Yeah, if they're under.
You have to do report cards every month?
Sorry, not report cards. No, sorry. The levels, reading levels. Yeah.
Do you get any time off, Jen, to do them, or do you have to use your own time to do them?
The only time I get off is, I don't know if they have it in Ontario still, but grade 3 assessments.
Yes, yeah.
So we get 1 day
Okay.
to do the reading and the math.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, nothing.
Not a lot.
Yeah.
I can't believe like that you have to do it on your own time. That seems so unfair.
Yeah.
That's like salary, right?
Yeah,
Instead of hourly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like my husband now is on a different salary, and if he works overtime, I'm like, this is so unfair. Because he doesn't get paid like right currently for overtime, but anyhow. And so Jackie, are you a homeschool mom then? I'm trying to keep track. Lindsay's a homeschool mom. Jackie's a homeschool mom.
I think Jackie's a homeschool mom.
Am I unmuted now? Yes, I'm a homeschool mom.
I know a lot of the ladies who are on Rebecca's team are homeschool moms. I was like they kind of find her through her homeschooling.
That's exactly what
I
happened.
always assume like that a lot of them are homeschool moms. Not everybody, but Helen has a homeschool mom too. Forget who else. I can't keep track of everybody always and what everybody is. It's when they start coming to Zooms and stuff, which we haven't been doing as frequently. It's easier to kind of see faces and remember than just seeing like little squares that change so frequently on Facebook. Then it's like, oh, when you get used to their profile photo, and then it's like, no, that's different now. So.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like it gets, yeah, but on Zoom it's easier. Once people start coming to Zooms, then I kind of like get to know them better and can remember everybody a little bit easier, I find, at least.
It's like somebody changes their profile picture and then it's like, wait, who is that?
Yeah. And the girls who are more active on the big group are, you kind of get to know them a bit more too, in their faces and their comments. But yes, but anyhow, I actually have less than a minute left. I'm probably going to shut off, but thank you guys for coming. I'll edit out this like last chattery stuff and just keep the training to the training. But
When did you say you're going to post it, Talina?
hopefully sometime like this week.
Okay.
By next week for sure.